Hello everyone and welcome to another ODNT Spotlight interview, and today we have not one, not two, but three guests here for you today, and we'll have them all on the same screen, and they are from the MythBehaving crew. I must tell you, I really like this logo that they have here, especially with the book as part of the M. We're definitely going to have to ask them about that and everything. So we have Mayor, Paul, and Katie with us, and let's go ahead and let's switch on over to them and say hello. Mayor, hello. Paul, and Katie, how are you?
Hello.
So tell me first about that logo. I love that logo. And I told you before when we were first talking in the show, I'm very upset that you already took that name. I can't take it now. I always like getting all the good stuff.
Well, I can let you know right now that I had nothing to do with either one of those.
Nor did I.
So this is Mayor's fault.
Back to you, Mayor.
Yeah. This was actually the whole podcast was sort of the idea of Carla Clifton, who used to be the original co-host with me on MythBehaving. And she said, well, you need to do a podcast. And I was kind of like, on what? And she says, I don't know, something to do with books, since you're going to have a book come out soon. And I'm like, okay. And got the idea that we should have guests on and interview different guests. And went to an artist here locally in Southern Nevada by the name of Kyle Floyd, and he did the logo for us. And we did the website and everything. And then our first podcast was with Tim Powers. He's won, I think, 3 World Fantasy Awards. So it was a real nice coup to be able to have Tim.
What a great launch guest for your show.
Yeah, it was awesome. You know, I cheated there because I've known Tim since we were in college together. So yeah, it was kind of cheating.
But you already had the connections.
Yeah, and the name came from an author friend of mine by the name of Jan O'Hara, who writes the Tartitude blog.
Uh-huh.
And she's the one that came up with the name for the podcast. So
she's the one that's upset. She's like, oh, that was my name.
No, she gave it to us.
Oh.
She helped me name it when we were coming up with the name. She's like, oh, this. So she was putting out her. I went to a bunch of friends of mine, a bunch of author friends, and asked them to, come up with some names. And this was one of the names that was put forth to help me for the podcast. So
that's excellent. Who came up with the idea of turning a letter M into a book? I'll switch back real quick here. Look, that's amazing. Who thought that up?
I can't remember whether it was Kyle or me. It was one of us. Yeah. Maybe Kyle, probably Kyle.
That is one of those few things that is just pure brilliance. Like around here we have a Baskin-Robbins ice cream, which is the 31 flavors. And recently, within the past decade or so, the logo changed, or at least I noticed it. The B and the R have a 31 in them.
Yeah.
There you go.
And it's just like brilliance. That guy should have been made a millionaire and allowed to retire after that one. So same thing with your logo for MythBehaving, which great name, great logo, and everything. So let me just round robin you guys. Let you guys tell me, how did you guys... Paul, you already warned me. This is a good story.
Yeah.
How did you guys get together and start this podcast?
I blame Dave Robinson.
I blame Dave Robinson as well. We can just blame him for many things.
Yes, he's so easily blamable.
Oh, but I love him, so it's okay. Paul, do you want to start off, or shall I?
No, go right ahead, please.
So Dave Robinson of the wonderful and golden and melodic voice started a writing group on Facebook called RoTanoRimo. The round table, it started out as a NaNoWriMo group.
Uh-huh.
And then at some point he posted that Mayor was looking for a co-host. A co-host, singular. This is foreshadowing, actually. So then I was like, I like podcasting. I could be a co-host and interview cool people. That sounds like fun. So I said, I'll do it, Mayor. And she said, oh, I'm also talking to this other guy, this guy named Paul Ellis. Over to you, Paul.
Well, and mine was kind of the reverse of that, because I said, yeah, I've done radio, I've done television. I'll go ahead and do this podcasting thing. I'm kind of getting my feet wet coming into the digital age, because back when I did editing, audio editing, it required grease pencils and splicing tape and razor blades. The cool thing about editing now is you save your fingers. You know, you're no longer cutting the ends of your fingers off to do the editing, so that's cool. And I was talking to Mary about it. She goes, well, you know, I don't know about the dynamic of having a guy on the podcast. I don't know if that's going to work or not. And I said, well, that's okay. If you don't want me on, that'll be fine. Weepy voice. But apparently I interview very well because she brought both Katie and I on.
Apparently we both interview well. I think it's actually been good having 3 people and having a male perspective.
All right, so
I don't remember saying that about a guy. Did I really say that?
Yes, absolutely.
Stayed up all night crying, Mayor.
Made him
Crying all night.
Or at least I had the weepy voice.
You guys are awful.
I know.
Well,
right.
Carla had to drop out, so I didn't want to drop the show because I think it's a good premise, and I think we've had some awesome guests, and I'd hate to lose all of those past guests. And since Katie and Paul have joined me, we have just had a blast. We've done some really cool interviews, I think, over the last little over a year.
Yes.
Wow.
Started, yeah.
Wow.
That's excellent.
Looking at our guest list now, we've had some really cool people on. We had Sean Poindexter. We had Pip and T on. That was a lot of fun.
They were awesome.
Jen Ryan, PC Herring, your nemesis.
Yes. We had Marie Bilodeau as well, another Canadian author. The Canadians started taking over after I showed up.
You showed up and brought Canada with you.
Yes. That's how we invade, is quietly and politely. We did have Amy Bai, another emerging author. She's fabulous.
And she's one of the ones that we still need to get up yet, right, Paul? Yes. Is Amy one? Yeah. So we've still got good interviews to come. We had Jim Blaylock, another one of Tim Powers, and he and K.W. Jeter, the 3 guys that founded the steampunk genre. So we had 2 of the 3 grandfathers of steampunk on.
Wow.
So Lisa Brackman, a New York Times bestselling author, and Gretchen McNeil, another just absolutely brilliant. She writes YA mysteries, YA horror. She's fabulous. I don't have the guest list in front of me, but we've just had one fabulous guest right after another.
That's great. So it's good to have such a fun, enjoyable show and everything. And it sounds like the 3 of you are working together real well for this.
Yeah, it sounds like that, yeah.
Because no one can see the faces you're making because you're just doing audio podcasts.
This is true. This is largely why we do audio podcasts. No, it's funny because I don't remember at what point Paul was like, oh yeah, we met at Balticon last year. And I was like, yes.
Yes, we did.
I totally remember, and I'm not just saying it like I do.
She had no idea. Well, people kept confusing me for Dave for a while, which is odd because Dave's a good 6 or 8 inches taller than I am.
Also,
it's hard to see that over it's hard to see that over the radio.
Yeah, that's true. It is to do that.
Excellent. So now each of you also, I know you, Katie, and you, Paul, have your own podcasts that you do. You're doing audio dramas and everything. Well, let's start with you, Katie. So you have something called the Coxwood History Fun Park.
Yes, I do.
So what is that? Sounds fun and historical.
It does, especially when you say it like Coxwood History Fun Park. God, that will haunt my dreams forever. So that is a 9 audio drama. Somewhat along the same lines of humor as Welcome to Night Vale. A lot of very dark, very just bizarre, absurd humor. It's essentially the podcast I wanted to do for the Living History Museum that I work at, if all of the terrible, ridiculous things that I like to pretend happened actually did. So think like Colonial Williamsburg or Old Sturbridge Village or one of those living museums where you've got all the buildings and people in costume.
Yeah.
With, a goblin that lives under the stairs and they're killing a ball of evil up in the ballroom because it's the ballroom because that's where they keep the ball. So it's our plucky social media assistant, Catherine, trying very hard to keep things from going to hell in a handbasket.
Oh boy, that sound. I listened to a little bit of it. I'm gonna have to definitely listen to more of that. That sounds fun. So behind the scenes,
Yeah.
all the stuff happening at a history fun park.
Yeah, my boss didn't know that I did this. I didn't actually take anything from my own museum, but I was like, you know what? I think you don't need to know about this, just in case. But no, it was a great deal of fun. I really enjoyed it. And like I was mentioning, kind of in the preamble before we started recording, I hadn't done a proper audio drama before. So I had done like short stories released via podcast, like for Tales from the Archives with Pip Valentine and T. Morris, or I released a podcast novel in 2012. But I hadn't
that's
done one.
Hapax, right?
Hapax, yeah.
Hapax? All right.
Yeah, that's still kicking around somewhere. I got fan mail for that the other day. That was surprising. Well, I know it was like a woot, but also seriously, it was 3 years ago.
That's like
Oh yeah, I hadn't done a drama without a proper narrator before. So learning to tell stories in a very different way, 'cause everything has to come through the sound. Not just the dialogue, but also setting, atmosphere, mood, action, characterization. Like that all had to come either through the sound effects or the dialogue or the performance. And it was an interesting thing to kind of get into that mode of thinking.
Yeah, it's so different.
It's so different. It was awesome, but it was also so different.
A lot of fun. And then, so on to you, Paul. There's a site, I'll put a link for it, called Wireless Adventures.
Right.
Is that the hosting site?
That's the hosting site, yeah.
Okay, so Wireless Adventures. And so you've got 3 parts up there, 3 audiobooks from short stories from your Dirty Magic Los Angeles series that you were an anthology that you were part of.
Right. The Dirty Magic Los Angeles, put out by Lucky Mojo Press. The editor's Charlie Brown, a really good guy, and we had a ton of really talented people there. It's interesting because I almost didn't get into that anthology. His wife's name is Paula Ellis, and he saw it across his desk. He was like, "Why is my wife sending me a story? I don't know. Oh, it's a dude. Oh, okay." So he read the story. He liked it. It's the anthology is a cross between urban fantasy and noir. At the corner of urban fantasy and noir, mean streets, dirty magic.
In a world.
This
is why people mistake you for Dave, Bud. In a world.
But so it was kind of serendipity that I got involved in that. And then when he put out a call for the follow-up to that anthology, Dirty Magic New Orleans, I'm like, well, that's great because my protagonist, Jacques Dupree, is Cajun. So this would be great. He'll just go home. Because at the end of the first story, spoilers, he winds up in a bad place. So, and you can hear that story at either paulkellis.com or at wirelessadventures.podhoster.com. So
I'll go ahead, and for those of you who are frantically writing down right now, if you're watching this on an embedded site or anything, just click on the little link over there that says watch on YouTube. I'll have all these links down in the description so that you can just click away and go check out all these awesome podcasts and websites and everything.
And, yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
I put together the podcast from The Winds, which was the story in the first anthology, as a promotional effort for the second anthology. And it came out in 3 parts leading up to Balticon, which is a new media convention as much as it is anything else. So that way, when writers and authors and podcasters were getting ready to go to Balticon, each week leading up to Balticon for 3 weeks, they got a new episode. So
nice.
I had a lot of fun putting it together. You've heard Katie and I talk about some of the people. I completely blanked. I want to say Blanche. I knew that wasn't right.
No.
No, she'd kill me. Absolutely fantastic voice actress. And like Katie, when was putting that together, it was very challenging to remember all of the techniques that I had learned 25 years ago, how you could apply them now digitally. So that was a lot of fun for me to do it like that.
Oh, excellent. So bringing back something that you had long since forgotten.
Right.
And it all rushed back to you in a flood.
Yeah, and I kept my thumbs intact. See, No splicing on them.
They look lovely.
Yes.
Yeah, no more whipping out the razor blade. It's all digital. But we still have like pictures of razor blades and film strips and everything in all those digital editing software.
Yeah, when you go to edit, that's exactly what they show you. And that's how you know how to edit. It's fantastic.
And so, Mayor, you started the MythBehaving podcast before with another co-host, right?
Right. We started it, I want to say 2012. I'd have to look it up. I honestly don't remember.
That's fine.
Carla and I did, and then Carla left the show, and Katie and Paul joined about a year ago. So it's been a fun ride. We've had some great guests, as we've mentioned before, and they've just been so much fun. I have learned so much from having all of these different authors, having when we had Jen Ryan was on as an editor, we've had cover artists on and learning that end and how they work. And that's just so fascinating to find out how some of these other jobs that are in the publishing industry and how they work. So it's been a lot of fun with this show.
Yeah, that's excellent. That's kind of what I'm doing now with my YouTube Spotlight thing, is to start getting out and meeting other people that are in the same industry I am and saying, hey, what do you guys do? You're having fun doing what you're doing. I want to see what this is about. And so how do you guys normally, because I take it you don't all live in the same area.
Oh, we're
you're
close.
Not in a single studio.
Yeah, galactically speaking, we're close.
Galactically
we're
speaking, you're all on the same spot.
I think we're on the same continent.
We are. That's fantastic. We are on the same continent.
We are. We're all in North America.
Oh, good.
But I'm in Southern Nevada. Katie's in Canada, and Paul's in someplace I forget.
Sounds a lot like Richmond, Virginia.
Yeah.
Not exactly like that.
Oh yeah. Thanks, Paul.
So you guys go and you have to try to coordinate everything together with all your different time zones. Kind of like we had to do when we did this, is everyone's all in a different time zone, and hey, let's try to get together at the same time.
Yeah, it can be challenging sometimes, especially when you've got a guest who's got a hectic schedule. So trying to fit them in can sometimes be challenging, but it's fun because between the three of us, we've got so many author friends and other people in the industry that I don't think we could ever run out of guests to have. We could go on forever, I think.
That's excellent. That's excellent. And so, as well as being podcasters, you guys are also authors. I know that we were talking about some of the books you did, The Winds and Happix. Mm-hmm. But these started out as books.
Right.
Yes, they did.
So you guys are authors, as well as you formed together to become podcasters extraordinaires and big myth behaviors.
I like that.
I like that too. I've been podcasting since 2012 because for me, I'm just going to show my age. When I was in high school and university is when podcast novels were really coming into their own. So while other kids were off, I don't know, doing whatever normal kids do, I was listening to these podcast novels obsessively. So I finished my novel Happix. I'm like, all right, well, what is the next logical step? Obviously, podcasting it. So I was in the middle of production when I saw a call had gone out from Dragon Moon Press, who's an indie Canadian publisher that published a lot of podcast novels back in the day.
Uh-huh.
And they were having an open submission. I was like, oh, well, I'm podcasting this anyway. I'm just going to throw it on the pile because, what are the odds?
Right.
As it turned out, foreshadowing again.
The odds were ever in your favor.
Yeah, so they picked it up. So that was just like this really surreal moment of, okay. So I had to kind of turn around and tell them, P.S. I'm podcasting this. That's cool, right? I assume it's cool. And also turn around and tell my cast, so this is also going to be a published book now. So that was a thing that happened. And then I've done some short fiction here and there as well. Most notably with the Ministry of Peculiar Occurrences, Tales from the Archives. Ding.
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 So what was the dinging about?
Oh, T. Morris, who is the man behind the Ministry of Peculiar Occurrences, along with his wife, Philippa Valentine. He's got a bell, and every time someone says their website name, he dings it. They'd be like, you can find her at katiebrisky.com. Ding. And much like a Pavlov's dog kind of response, I have heard T do this for so long. I have seen the bell actually in the flesh. I have sat across from the bell and even touched. I've touched T's bell. I've made T's bell ding. Oh God, I'm going down for next week. The man is like my surrogate father. I'm just gonna stop. Regardless.
No, keep going. This is great.
No, it's fine. They're basically my second family at this point. But I'm so used to hearing a ding after a .com that it's just become, for me, part of what I hear in my head.
And then
I infected those two.
You spread that on to Paul and Mare because, just like you said, Pavlov's dog or the kids in Time Machine, every time the air raid sirens came on, they just wandered off. Everyone just went ding, ding, ding in a row.
And this is how Canada takes over, very quietly and very politely. It just kind of happens one day. You look up and you're like, what happened? And then we're here.
Pavlovian response.
Yeah.
That was excellent. So you were saying that Katie Happick started out as a podcast and then became a book?
It was a book, but I was really young. And I was like, well, what's going to stop that? I was even younger than I am now. My plan with Happick's originally was, because I'd written this novel, and I was like, okay, well, obviously nothing's going to happen with it right now. I'm not ready to publish it. And then I figured I'd podcast it so that eventually when I grew up and I became ready to publish a real novel, I might have people out there who knew my name. I might have people who'd already been exposed to my work. It's just Dragon Press ended up taking it too early, for which I am profoundly grateful, because I met a lot of amazing people like Pippin T. And my nemesis, PC Herring.
Excellent. And so, I know, Mare, we've talked before about all the books that you've done and everything, so I'm going to kind of skip you a little bit on this one for the books.
Fine.
Everyone can go see her other big, long interview I did with Mare to find out about her books. But, Paul, so you're in some anthologies.
Yes.
Is there anything bigger, other books that we can see coming from you soon?
Well, I do have some short stories. Well, I have a short story at the Ministry of Peculiar Occurrences.
.com. Ding!
See?
It's happening! No!
And that was interesting because when I first wrote the story, Foothold, it rang in at about 22,000 words. And so I sent, as a short story. So I sent it in to Pip, and she was very kind, very gracious to me. She said, perhaps we have miscommunicated, and you can cut this down to about 7,500. And I said, okay.
Oh, that's so Pip. Wait, did I edit that?
Yes, you did edit that. Yes, you did.
It all comes.
Hold, yeah. So, and then I did that, and I did the podcast for that, and you can find that out at Ministry of Peculiar Occurrences. I've done some voice work for Scott Roche and Scott Roche's Omniverse. I've done a couple of stories there, and I don't have the titles in front of me. I'm old, and so my memory's gone. I'll get those to you.
We remember 8-track tapes when we were going to school.
Oh, why ever? Yes.
There was no podcasting when we were in school.
I'm just going to keep quiet because I don't know what those are.
Touché. And then I've got the two stories in the Dirty Magic anthologies, The Winds in Dirty Magic Los Angeles and Glass Darkly in Dirty Magic New Orleans, and currently working on that novella for Charlie to come out in Lucky Mojo Press, probably the beginning of next year, depending on when I get it to him. So that's on me. Yeah, that's on me.
It's like, here's my 200,000-word novella.
Yes. Well,
Perhaps we have miscommunicated, Paul. Would you like to bring this down to 30,000 words?
I got excited, okay? I just wrote.
No, that's totally understandable. I would get excited. I still do.
So it sounds like you've been keeping real busy with writing.
Yes.
Well, it's one of those things that once you get started, it's very difficult to stop. But if you stop, it's very difficult to get started again. So, yeah, I've been trying to keep my hand in as much as possible.
Yes, the writing momentum.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, can I plug one more thing?
Absolutely, Katie.
Absolutely not.
I think you would let me plug this one, Paul. I also have a story in Tales of a Tesla Ranger, which is... See, I can plug this, which is a charity anthology that was put together after our friend and colleague and fellow podcaster PG Holyfield passed away last year after a very brief and unexpected battle with cancer. So Tales of a Tesla Ranger, the premise is all sorts of stories, steampunk, fantasy, sci-fi, whatever, but all featuring PG as a central part of the story. And so all the stories were donated, the cover art was donated, and every penny from that anthology goes to his 3 daughters.
And is that out now?
That's been out for a few months. That's on Amazon. You can pick it up print, you can get an ebook version, and the audio version is coming soon, narrated by the lovely and talented Veronica Jaguar. So I will send you a link to all of that.
Okay, yeah. I think I could probably find it.
I'm looking for it too. No, not Tales from the Archives. Tales of a Tesla Ranger.
Tales of Tesla Ranger.
Yep.
There it is. Oh, and it's on Kindle Unlimited. So all of you viewers who have Kindle Unlimited, it's free to read.
Yes.
For you. Excellent. Oh, I like the cover work on that one.
Yeah, it's gorgeous, isn't it? And some amazing, amazing work in there from a very, very wide spectrum of authors as well.
Excellent.
Katie's story in that is absolutely fantastic. It will break your heart.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so we'll definitely include the link to that. So I have it up here. So I'll put the link to that also in the description. Boy, this is going to be a link-heavy description. There's a lot to do.
Happens to me 3 of us because we all have our own links.
I know, we have 3 guests with lots of links and all this the new stuff that's coming up and everything. So
lots of new stuff.
So how has Mayor been working with the podcast been for you with meeting the new people that are now your cohorts in crime and MythBehaving? How has that been for you?
Oh, it's been fabulous. We had a good chemistry from the very beginning.
We see you two laughing. I know you guys are used to only being on audio, but we see you.
It's like, how's it been for you, Mayor? Well, it's been awful. I hate them. I think the Canadian's psychotic. She can't say that. I'm looking at her on screen.
But no, it's been so much fun. It really has. Because when I did the interview, I'm like, I like this one and I like this one. And then I thought, I don't know who to pick. And then I had this brainstorm at something like 2 a.m, which is when I usually have my brainstorms. And I said, why do I have to pick? Why can't we just have 3 co-hosts? So I went back to each of them and said, this is what I'm thinking. What do you guys think? And they said, yeah. So we just kind of slid into it. Was almost an instant relationship. And I think because we started basically performing right away together, we automatically had a really good chemistry, I think, that just naturally has evolved into being good friends, I think, over the last year. But in the beginning, we had that chemistry as well, too. So
you were all 3 crazy enough to just make it work.
Yes.
Crazy is a harsh word. It's accurate, but it's.
You were all unique enough to make it work.
There you
You're special.
I think he was more accurate the first
Yeah, I think it was too.
Fine.
It's fine. I'm used to it.
So let's go ahead and we've talked about your different individual projects and your MythBehaving crew as podcasters. And also there's also links. Your podcast, MythBehaving, can be found on iTunes, correct?
Yes.
So I will also try to track down some links to that so that we can... That's probably on your MythBehaving site, right?
It should be.
Yeah.
But if you Google us if you search us on iTunes, it should bring MythBehaving up, and it should have all of them, all of the podcasts there. And we totally encourage people that if you listen to us on the website, go into iTunes and, if you like what you hear, give us a positive review, because that's how we move up the rankings. So that would always be appreciated. Even if you don't listen to it on iTunes, go do that anyway.
Shameless plug. Well, we're here to plug you guys. It's not shameless. You're on my show. You get to plug it all.
Awesome.
And so I also noticed that one of the things on your MythBehaving site is you do book tours.
We used to.
I
was doing that. Yeah, I was doing that for a while. And that was before I started the publishing company. So with the publishing company, I simply can't do that.
Oh, yeah. There's only so many hours in a day.
Yeah, I use it specifically for the authors of Elysian Press. And if a friend comes to me and says, hey, will you put together a tour for me? I'll do a freebie for them. But I'm not selling the tours
So
anymore.
everybody looking, and you go to the website, don't click the book tours link. It's not going to help you out.
No.
But when your book comes out, they'll probably want you on their show, right?
It's entirely possible. Just contact us and we'll talk about it.
So we've talked about all the stuff here that we've got. And is there anything else before we end the interview of what you want people to know about MythBehaving, about yourselves, about what you do and all your projects?
Well, I'm going to be coming back soon with Apocalyptic Z, correct?
Right. So, yeah, I'm going to have you back for Apocalyptic Z when that comes out. So that's a book that's coming up.
I've got a book coming out probably in October. Possibly. So let's be in touch then. Shut up. This has been the book that will not die. Things keep happening with it. An agent wants it. An agent doesn't want it. Another agent wants it. Another agent doesn't want it. I lose faith. Friend says just push the damn publishing button and get it out. So that may be a thing.
So Katie, if you're interested, I'll have you individually on the show to plug that book when it comes out.
Done.
All right, done.
I like you.
So just shoot me an email when it's out, and we'll set up a time and do it.
Yeah, I'll drop you a line. Cool.
And same thing with you, Paul. He's over there. His sad voice is coming back out again.
Sad voice, it made me cry.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about having a guy on my show, but if you ever have any projects you want to do, we can talk about it.
It's weird. Yeah.
I would like to plug Paul as a voice actor.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. Paul was on Coxwood History Fun Park playing the Master Groundhog.
But I got replaced.
I got replaced. Why did I get replaced?
No, you weren't replaced. You got killed off screen is what happened. I'm sorry, was that not made clear? He died.
Oh. Yes.
I'm sorry, I thought that was clear in the script. No, you died. Your character died. But he played not just any groundhog.
Boy, this is like a Maury Povich reveal. You are the father.
You're dead.
Guess what? You're dead.
There was another groundhog in the show who kind of took over the plot as well, and then it turned out he killed and usurped the Master Groundhog. Green.
A moment of silence for the Master Groundhog.
So that was a thing.
Okay,
That's what kind of podcast is.
Katie.
Oh.
But yeah, he did a fabulous job. Very professional. Did it right away. Fantastic accent. Highly recommended.
I'll take it.
Does that make it better?
Yes.
Okay.
Phew, save that one.
Yeah, tell me about it.
That was close.
Well, I've got the book coming up, or the novella coming up for Charlie Brown, and currently working on that. In the wings, I did a podcast with Chris and Janet Morris and Dave Robinson of the Roundtable Podcast, where they workshopped a story idea called The Hierarchy of Dominance. That's next. So I'll get in touch with you as soon as that gets ready.
Absolutely.
About that, too, yeah.
That'll be fun. All right. So that sounds like that's a wrap. So go ahead, everyone, just hang on to the show for a moment. I'm going to go ahead and close down for the interview for everyone watching on YouTube and embedded in other websites. And then don't disconnect yet. I'm going to come right back to you and we'll chat for a few more minutes. All right, so hey, It was great having you on the show, Mayor, Paul, and Katie. Thank you very much for coming.
Thanks for having us.
All right, so let me just say, again, MythBehaving, and check out all the links below. And if you're watching this again embedded in a website, just click on the little button. I can never tell which side's what. Over here that says watch on YouTube. And then you can see all the links. I will have an entire encyclopedia of links available for you in the description of this for all the things that we talked about on today's show. So thanks a lot for joining us. Don't forget to subscribe to ODNT and find out when other spotlights are coming. and also so that you can know when I have these three wonderful guests on my show again individually for their projects as they come on up. So thank you very much for joining us. Have a great night.